Welcome back to the Aimmee Kodachian and the Expert Show, where we help you transform your business and personal life by sharing our wisdom, insights, and knowledge with you. I have a beautiful guest with me, my dear friend Judi Moreo. Hi, Judi. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad to be back.
We had a great subject. If you are watching live right now, great. We'd like to have you. If you are on social media, you can go to akexperts.com to watch all of our segments. We have recorded so far, and the whole show you could watch there. So we'll come back to this beautiful, wonderful lady.
Thank
my
you.
Dear friend,
Thank you.
Judi, and we're talking about something not everybody talks about.
Manners.
Yeah, because we're afraid to offend people. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you're not afraid to offend them because you're telling them something to better their life.
Well,
is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's
not about putting you down.
So
it's
many
about
people,
pulling you up.
So many people act like the manners or etiquette is something from the past somewhere, and that we shouldn't have that today.
Or teach our kids or any
but
of that.
We should be teaching our kids. And I'll tell you what, I just read a book entitled Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance went to Yale University, so you know he's not a dumbo, right? I mean, if he went through Yale.
Yeah.
And he said after he went through Yale and he went out into the world, he started realizing that his background was holding him back. He couldn't advance, he couldn't be successful, he couldn't make the kind of money he wanted because of his manners.
Oh, okay.
Because he had come from a very dysfunctional background way down in the South, where people fought all the time and yelled at each other. We're not saying all
the South people are like that.
No,
but
no.
Some areas or whatever.
But this was like way out in the hills, you know, in the hill country. But everybody he knew, everybody his family knew, yelled at each other and hollered at each other and abused each other. And so when he got out of school, when he got out of Yale and he went into the business world, he learned that even his tone of voice wasn't working for him. It's a great book. I highly recommend that people read it, called Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. And he tells us the history of his life, and then he talks about how you have to behave a certain way if you intend to reach a certain level of income or a certain level of society, because the people who can help you have been there. They have the manners. They've learned it. And he said, if you grow up in a place where people don't know what manners are, then you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
And it's true, isn't it?
It's true.
And so when you get out in public and you start learning what you don't know, then you're looking for new knowledge and new ways. I'll give you an example. Just today it happened. I was having lunch at a management association meeting and was sitting at a table. There were 5 people at the table. There was a gentleman at the table, and I asked him a question. There was 5 people, 2 men, 3 women. Okay. So he was the gentleman next to the woman. No, next to, I was over here. And I asked him a question. It was a small enough table that we could have all talked to each other quite easily. He turned to the other gentleman with his back to the 3 women and lowered his voice and spoke to the gentleman for a very long time and totally left 3 of us out of the conversation. So to me, that's manners.
Yes,
and his were bad because there were 5 people, and when there's 5 people at a table, everyone should be included in the conversation. And then he did my pet peeve. And then the bread came. And he reached over and he got the loaf of bread out of the bread basket, and he broke it and he put half of it back in and he ate the rest. Okay, so he's just now put his hands all over the bread that anybody else would have eaten. And I thought to myself, he didn't learn, because most of us were not taught that the napkin in the bread basket is there so that you put the corner over the bread that you hold while you break off your piece.
Sure.
And then he decided to butter the whole thing and eat the bread in a big hunk. And once again, your bread goes on your bread plate. you take a little butter, you put it on your plate, you break off a little piece, and then you put butter on each piece as you eat it. And so I just sat there thinking, it's such a shame that people are holding themselves back by doing these kinds of things. And they don't even know it because they never learned that this is the proper way to do it.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Well,
you were saying.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's why I'm so excited about you having me do the program for your academy.
Right.
Because the whole program will be online for people to buy. And I mean, so inexpensive. For less than 2 cups of coffee a month, you can go in there, not only have my program, but everybody else's program.
Yeah, which is very expensive to get, really. All the academy, and you're the main one on the academy. We're so blessed to have you with us.
And this etiquette program I'm teaching, I taught 20 years ago and charged $800 for it back then. So you can imagine what I would be charging for it today.
And what you're getting for less than $10 a month.
Yes.
You can get the information and not only that, you can teach your kids, your family, your husband, your wife.
And they're videos, so you actually see it demonstrated. They're good videos where you see it demonstrated. And the etiquette is not just covering table manners, it's covering all kinds of other situations in our lives, even from how we drive down the street and cut in front of other people and make signs at them when we go by. That's called manners as well, isn't it?
You know, sometimes that could cost you your life.
It could.
Just because your manners wasn't right. You could arrange the other person. I mean, I have some people, in my country, even here, they get so upset by driving the wrong way. And they cause them to go even further to get really violent.
Exactly.
On that, or cause an accident.
I just about got violent today.
Yeah.
I
can't believe that.
I was coming down the freeway and there's an off-ramp and all the cars are in line to go to the off-ramp, but then all these other cars are speeding by on the next lane and they're cutting in front of us to go to the off-ramp. And one cut in so close to my car, I thought he was going to take my fenders off.
Wow.
And I was so upset I was going to get out and pound him, but he took off.
He's lucky. He's alive.
But I mean, even other things, like one day I was sitting on the airplane and there was a really good-looking young gentleman. He probably was about 20 years old, sitting next to me on the plane, and he was dressed, I mean, he had on a suit and a tie. He looked like he came out of Gentleman's Quarterly. He was so cute.
Yeah.
And he was reading this book, Think Like a CEO. And I looked over at him, and he was picking his nose and flicking it on the back of the seat in front of him. And I pulled out a tissue and handed it to him, and I said, young man, you need to learn to act like a CEO.
Here you go.
And then I thought, well, Judy, that was rude. But you know what? He was headed off to go on a job interview, and if he's sitting there picking his nose in public, then he needs to know about it, because you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, exactly. He's trying to teach himself at least, but then you helped him more, right? But this is what you're going to get on the AK and the Experts Academy. Really, you're going to find information that you can't find everywhere. You can get hold of the experts such as Judi Moreo and Jennifer Lear. We have so many experts in the academy that could help you just by learning one thing from them. Just one thing could change your life, because it matters is what makes people want to work with you more.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Like the segments we have before.
And if you're moving into any kind of a management or supervisory position, or you're going to be a leader, it is so important that you know what you don't know, and that you learn what you don't know.
And you know, most family these days, especially in this generation, they just don't have time to really teach their kids, because the mother works and the fathers work, and they all work, and even the kids work. So they don't have time to sit down and
people don't
really
even
teach.
really sit down and have a meal together like we used to years ago. So you don't have that time where you have that family discussion.
The good about this is the class is only 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah,
but you learn a lot. That's the beauty about it.
And they can watch as many of them as they want to. And we have the whole series of about 20 etiquette lessons.
Absolutely. So if you're watching live, it was really nice to have you with us. And if you're not watching live, you're getting this segment here from social media, go to akexperts.com to watch the upcoming Judy's show, and also Stephanie Thompson's show. And this show, you could watch all of our show over there, akexperts.com. We'll see you next week.